Welcome everybody to Clueless Vino, the show where we use wine as a vehicle for conversation, and it's the only legal and safe place for you to drink and drive. I'm Clueless Vino, and I have a special guest with me today, Coach Josh Merkel of Randolph Macon Basketball. What's up, man?
Stick, it's great to be on here with you, man. I give you the virtual fist bump like the old days.
Yeah, I like that. So I've wanted to do this for a while. Show hasn't been here for so long. It's only been like second year of me doing it. Yeah. But I did want to do it last year, just in kind of the time it didn't work. But I'm glad I waited, because what a time to have you on, right?
Yeah. yeah. Right. Yeah. Everybody pays to be a winner. So it's good to have something, positive to talk about, for sure.
Yeah, man. Yeah. This is the part where I usually let the guests, tell the people about yourself. So the floor is yours, man.
Well, and I'm even going to start about, how I know you, our relationship. Yeah, sure. So basically, if we go back to, I'm a coach at Eastern Kentucky, and you guys, while I'm at Eastern Kentucky my last year, you guys go to the Final Four, right? You're all juniors in that, heavy vets on the team were juniors that year. You guys crush it. And then JD Byers goes and moves on St. Francis, right? So JD and I had a relationship. We're close. He talks to me about him making the move, and then there's the open assistant job. Mm-hmm. I wanted to become a head coach.
Yes.
I felt like if I was going to be an assistant, it had to be at a place, a power like Randolph Macon, a coach like Nathan Davis, a team, an amazing team coming back. Felt like I could really learn a lot from that group, rather than be a 6-year in Division I, essentially. And so made that move, was fortunate, Nathan hired me, and I tell our guys this a ton, but I learned so much from Nathan, but I learned so much from you guys too, about culture, winning behaviors, how things are supposed to be done, the practices, heavyweights going at it, whether it was you and Danny or Kevin and Danny, Pugh and Krosky, just learned a ton, man, the weights. And so, during that year, that's where the fist bump kind of stuff came about. And it was an amazing team, although it didn't end the way we would have liked. Yeah. And we don't have to get into that, but it was an amazing group. I love how connected you guys still are. I love how connected, even though I was there for 1 year, you guys were so mature. You welcomed me too. I think, maybe something you guys saw that I could add a little bit of value, but whatever it was, is we've always been connected since that year, which, the power of 1 year, even if you are open to relationships, it can be a great thing.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And I was gonna ask, I was gonna get to that. I was gonna ask, what was your first impression of me? So I can share my first impression of you, obviously.
Yeah.
Positive Pete, man. Oh my gosh, never coming in without a smile. Every time, just ready to work. I'm like, this guy. Like there are days of practice. I'm like, oh my gosh, no. It's too much positivity. I have to bring I have to bring this down because it's too high right now. Yeah. But yeah, always just positive, always ready to go. That's where we learned Merkel shooting. That's where that came about. Yeah. I remember one of the first things that I found out about you. We were working in the post, and I'm dealing with like stockier dudes or whatever. So you learn the swim move and getting around. With you, I was like, dog, this dude has no body fat. What is going on? There's nothing for me to grab. Like, I'm like, what am I supposed to do here?
Yeah, that's my secret back there, man. I'm ghosting you.
I was like, dog, this dude has no body fat whatsoever. It's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Just I was really, with JD Lee, JD was there for 3 years, so he was my longest tenured coach. So obviously there's gonna be this thing where it's like, new guys, like he's kind of, you're open, but you're anxious.
Yeah.
Because you've already built a relationship with someone else. But I think it was an easy transition when you came in. I was like, okay, this guy's, he understands what we need to do. He's giving this helpful advice. It's not like, it's not empty advice, So that was helpful.
Well, it was all, like I said, you guys were mature, you were winners. It wasn't, the culture was set. You guys played for Rhodes and then Nathan, like so many good things in this soup, let's call it. And like I said, I was there to learn a lot, build those relationships and add some value where I could. But I also remember this, going back to first impressions. Like, I'm coming from Eastern Kentucky, OVC. It's a good level.
Mhm.
And I was blown away by how good that group was. It's like, okay, this is what a Final Four team looks like.
Mhm.
Because we had some dudes. I mean, that's what it comes down to, is, guys that I think could have impacted winning at some other places too. And that's why Macon is what it is, and why it's been good, because you get guys that develop while they're there, all about the team,
Mhm.
and that's why they win.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, man. Let's crack open, have a little glass of wine, man. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. Let's do it.
So I asked you what you got, and I got the same thing.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is I assume this is Saint Chateau Michelle Chardonnay. I assume that's what the STE stands for.
Sounds good to me.
That's fine. I'm fine with that.
And I have no idea where we got it. I just know it was. I got no backstory. It just, it looks good. It looks like a, solid bottle.
That's fine. I'm perfectly fine with that, man. Are you normally a wine drinker?
I do enjoy having a glass of wine with dinner. Usually red.
Okay.
But like I said, this looked pretty sharp, so I figured I'd try it.
Yeah, man.
How about you? Are you having something with dinner, or more about the pot?
I've had it with dinner. I've noticed that a lot of wines that I don't necessarily like all the way, I'm like, this probably tastes better with food. That's what I've learned. And then I'll try it later. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, I get it. The flavors get mixed in with the food. That kind of helps.
Got it.
Yeah. But cheers, man.
Cheers.
That's not bad.
No.
I like Chardonnays.
Yeah.
I'm a white wine drinker though. That's the thing for me.
Gotcha.
More floral, fruity flavors for me.
Any of them Chardonnay?
I'm typically probably I would say I'm a Riesling guy.
Gotcha.
I'm a Riesling guy.
Okay.
That's my normal go-to.
Yeah. Hey, the other first impression was that you were not just a hooper, that this guy was a writer, that this guy was a deep thinker, that this guy enjoyed talking most days. Some days it was like, all right, let's stick.
Yeah.
Let's stick to his thing today. But that you really did value connection. I do remember that, because some people would look at it like, hey man, it's my senior year. I'm gonna spend time with my teammates, and this dude's only gonna be here for 1 year. Like, but you valued it. You were curious. You seeked input. I remember all that stuff. And I think, and you're a basketball guy, even though you also, have a lot of other skills, essentially. But you loved hoops, like you love competing.
That was like, I think I've told a couple of your teams since, and I tell them that I miss practice. Like games are cool, man. Like you get to beat up on other people.
Yeah.
The games are fun, but like the practices are what I miss. It's like that's you hunkering down with like your guys.
Yeah.
Like 2 to 3 hours, depending on the day, twice a day, some days, and just, trying to get better, but competing. I like that.
Yeah.
Because like now I'm going against dudes that know me. So now it's harder for me to, you know what I'm saying? Now I got coaches over here, like, oh, they know what I'm about to do here. Yeah. I need to figure out another way to do this. And that's going to help me later.
Yes. When guys play the right way, when they actually take away your strength to make you go to something else, then that's going to make you better. Mm-hmm. Yes.
So that's why I miss them most. I just remember those days, like, all right, black squad, white squad. And then you look at and it was never against any of the other teammates, but like you would look at like who you were given that day and you're like, all right, dog, I see what you're doing today. Like we're doing this today. That's fine.
Yep.
Like it would bother me in freshman sophomore year, but by my senior year, it's like, all right, bro, we're gonna do what it is, and we're gonna get it done.
Yeah. It's always funny to me. Guys really want to be on the same team for that day. Yeah. So even halfway through, if I and sometimes, man, I like to do it. I'm gonna get you out of your comfort zone. They talk about Jordan was up big. Remember, like one scrimmage, and then coach put him on the other team, and he's pissed off, and then he, brought him back or whatever. So I like messing with guys.
Yeah.
See how they handle, see how they respond in that moment. But man, guys are like, I was enjoying being on this team today.
Yeah. Oh man. You remember some of the drills, some of the practice stuff we had to do, like perfect defense? Oh my God.
Perfect defense is still in there. I would say 50-point game is still a staple for us.
Yep.
Which can be fun unless you're turning that thing over.
Right. Were you there? Was that the year that there was one year, I can't remember if it was you were there, but it was a practice where we had been turning the ball over pretty bad. It was a bad practice. I can admit that. It was a bad practice. But we were turning the ball over. And you know how David sometimes will grab like 3 basketballs, like if you turned over, that ball's gone. So he throws a new one out. But if you get rid of all the balls, you're running. Cool, that's fine. But he's like, if you turn the ball over, then you get at the run. But I'm like, so wait, so we're gonna get punished for also playing good defense? So we will play these mind games. I'd be like, hey, bro, if I lose it, just let me get it. just let me get it, dog, because I'm not trying to do this today. It's like those mind games were crazy.
Yeah. The incentives have to match, the idea or why you want to improve. So I always struggle with that one. I always struggle with the rack. I haven't figured out how to use that well.
Yeah. So tell me, so you come back, what year did you become the head coach? Because, time moves.
2015.
Okay.
So it was the 2015-16 season, but it was 2015, May of 2015 when it got announced.
Mm-hmm.
That was the year, man. It was not a good season for Randolph Macon hoops.
And you know how that goes, man. New coach, so then like you're having to implement your own strategies and your own things. So depending on the personnel you have, you may not have the people that you want to be able to use that, right? I think that happens in a lot of different places.
Yeah.
But just tell me, what was your initial goals when you first got here?
Yeah. Initial goals is I thought, so my 4 years at Salisbury, I took over a much worse program. Like Salisbury is not in good shape as a program. They were below 500, the history of the program.
Mm-hmm.
The 12 years before me, the most games that guy had ever won was 15. And it was my senior year. It was his first year. Yeah. He had never won more than 15. So I went in there. We won 19 in year 2, got a transfer who really helped us kind of get better quickly, and then won 21 games in year 4. So I'm thinking, and we started to get that thing humming. And we returned everybody but 2. And basically we only lost our starting point guard. So we were loaded. It was built to win. We had just been to the tournament, first time in 20 years.
Yeah.
So I'm, if anything, feeling pretty good as a head coach. Like,
right.
I didn't feel like I was qualified to take over for Nathan. I remember saying, like, I would never want to follow that guy because I thought that highly of him. And I knew also that Macon comes with outside, I don't want to say pressure, this is probably not the word, but expectations, like huge expectations.
Sure.
I'm going from a place where they have none. And they're like, I can do no wrong.
Yeah.
To coming in, and my goals were to hit the ground running, build on this thing that Nathan and Rose and everybody that's come before me, just layer right on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even want to say take it to the next level because so many things had been done, but it was just, hey, I've been given a gift here at Randolph Macon, and I want to make sure that we leave it better than we found it. And we found it pretty damn good. It's 28-3 the year right before. So that was the goal. And then, I've been very transparent about that year. I would say, you tell freshmen they don't know what they don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what I didn't know, even though I had just been a head coach for 4 years.
Mm-hmm. Didn't
know what it's like taking over a big time program that had just gone 28-3. Didn't know what it was like. We were young. That's the thing. Lamont is the only senior.
Yep.
Then there's 3 juniors. Then there's 8 sophomores, and then there's 7 freshmen. So it was 18 dudes. I remember that. Maybe it was 6 freshmen, 8 sophomores. And I didn't recruit a one of them, you know? So it's like, I missed out on all that relationship building. Then I'm big on like off the court development. You know, let's watch a video. Let's, you know, how are you growing outside of hoops?
Mm.
And I think that was, I was probably stressing it too soon, even though that was me. Like everyone always wants to give you the advice, go be who you are. Well, I mean, it's good advice when it works, but I'm being me.
Yeah.
This wasn't, they weren't ready for it. And it wasn't a good, you know, again, if I could go back, I would definitely do some things different. I know Nathan would have coached that team much better than me. And also those guys had some outs. Like they felt like, oh man, like, you know, I know I was going to be playing this year. It's like, no, you didn't. Like,
right.
Don't try to just because there's a coaching change, feel like I'm the reason. You wouldn't have been playing for Nathan either. Like we see the game very similarly.
Yeah.
You know? Like, so, and I tried to really honor coach too. I just thought so highly of him. Like I wanted to work for all of the guys that he brought in. Like, you know, I didn't care that I didn't recruit any of them. Like, here's your chance. Let's build these relationships. Let's go.
Yeah.
If you want to be one of us, like I've got you. Like, get on board.
Yeah.
But it was pretty early where I was like, you know what? I need the right guys on the bus. The rats are the first one off. If you're not all in on this thing, go. And dudes started taking me up on
it. Yeah.
So it was humbling, Stick. And I think I learned a lot of things that developed this this humility in me that maybe I needed. It helps me appreciate everything else, makes me appreciate the winning and just take nothing for granted.
I think that's probably one of your better coaching traits, right? I think that you don't let the moment be bigger than what it is, like bigger than you, right? Or the team. So you've been able to remain humble even with the amount of success that you've had over the last like 4 or 5 years, right? Yeah. So like no matter if I'm like, oh man, you did this, you're coaching the year, you're like, well, next game. That's always your next game. You know what I'm saying? And that's a good mentality to have because it doesn't. I think a lot of times when a team has a lot of success in like a short period of time, they look ahead, right? So they're like, okay, I'm thinking tournament, but let's get through the conference tournament, or you know, conference tournament. Well, let's get through the regular season first. So like it's a way stepwise to get to where we need to be, and you do a good job of being able to maintain that.
And then that goes back to the story of year 3. You know, again, I like for 3 years we didn't win an ODAC playoff game. Just like now, maybe for your first 2 years, did you guys have some tough moments? I remember Danny telling me, you know, that basically he got challenged. Your class got challenged because you guys were highly regarded coming in and hadn't maybe, but I don't know if it was lack of ODAC success. Maybe it was more NCAA success, or what was it?
So our freshman year, we were, you know, it ended up being 7 after the year was over, what we left with, but we lost on the tip end in the ODAC tournament. So a lot of us weren't playing at the time. Sophomore year, a lot more of us are playing. Again, we win 20 games. I think we were actually the number 1 seed in the ODAC tournament. However, there was a really good, and you'll know it, a very good Virginia Wesleyan team who was an 8 seed, who weren't really an 8 seed.
Yeah.
So they put it on us in the first round and got us out of there. And that's the time we got challenged, you know.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Are we content with just being on the team, or are we just gonna what are we doing to get better was the thing. So I think that kind of put a chip on a lot of our shoulders.
Yep.
And that's good. It's good to have though.
It probably powered you guys to a Final Four in a lot of ways, because now you're not taking any possessions for granted, or at least more guys have a better off season. I think there is some magic. I like to say growth happens in the extremes. And losing as a 1 seed is an extreme. You know, not tasting the tournament can be an extreme at a place where they expect you to. Yeah. And so, it probably powered you guys in a way that it was like, all right, now that we're here too, we're going to keep pushing through.
Exactly. And so you said, so yeah, I think that was like the kind of like the early, because you know how the alumni are, man. They expect things. You know how it is, bro.
Yeah.
So when we get, these first few years where we're getting in a tournament where we're not winning, I know
Yeah.
that's probably putting like a stress on you. Like, coaching can't be unstressful, right? Like this is
No.
probably stress, like consistent.
Yeah.
So like, tell me about that point, and then tell me where you felt like you turned the corner.
Yeah. I mean, I just, I would say losing. So year 3 ODAC tournament, again, we win the league stick. We won the league the year before, tied 4. So we were the 2 seed. We lose first round, W&L team. And then boom, 1 seed, lose to Eastern Mennonite, and we're up 15 in the second half. We found ways to lose. Like I put it on me. We just didn't get it done. We didn't play fearlessly. And so that was rock bottom for me, bar none, out of any other coaching incident. I remember being on the elevator and just Duba, like I wanted to say sorry, and I say sorry, and I just can't even contain. And I'm just like floodgates, like just couldn't contain myself. Shoot. So anyways, so rock bottom. And it helped us turn the corner because I basically just said, I'm not going to worry about anything outside of my control. And even though we say that, there's just things that it was like, I'm just going to be 100% me.
Yeah.
And we're just, guys are going to be with me or not.
Yeah.
If I'm going to go down, I'm going to go down my way, go down swinging, period.
Sure.
And to the seniors' credit, and I'm talking about Daryl Williams, John Noel, Grayson Medulla, Luke Neely, Monteith, that class.
Yeah.
Those guys were ready to go. They had that chip. This was about to be their senior year, and they had not tasted the tournament, and we hadn't won a game in the ODACs. And so just every possession started to become like, I was basically like, we may not win the ODAC next year, so we are going to get an at-large bid. We're going to be that good. Our body of work is going to be that good. Buzz got snubbed a little bit, not getting rookie of the year. That created something in him. Yeah. So we knew we had the pieces. We only lost Daniel Noe from that team. Like we had everybody coming back. We knew we had a chance to be good, and I was just able to let go of some of that outside stuff. And you find out like who's going to be with you. Like I remember Tony Bennett and Virginia lost 1-16 game.
Yep.
It was like 2 weeks later, man. And it was like, shoot, I've got the pity party, worst coach in the world. Like maybe I shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah.
Well, shoot, Tony Bennett's one of the best coaches in the country. They just lost the 1-16. And then his comments were awesome because he was just like, we're going to find out who's with us. And so, yeah, I've been leaning on him and studying that program. And that was, so somewhat helpful during that time was just, seeing another successful program and coach and how they handled it moving forward. But it was, hey, man, no one's going to feel sorry. We got to move forward. We got to get this thing fixed. And it's going to take, a daily fight.
And that's, I think that's kind of like the tagline or like the best descriptive word of like your team's like the last few years is just fight. Because I never feel like your teams are like out of it, right? I feel like I can't remember the last time that I was like, the team felt overwhelmed. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's always like, okay, if we can just get it to here, we're good. You know what I'm saying? And tell me how you build that type of mentality for a team like that, because I'm trying to figure out the best way to put it.
Well, I know what you're saying. I like the best way I can describe it is basketball is a game of problem solving. So you need problem solvers because I can't solve every problem out there for you. And how do you train that? I think Division III is a great model because you play more pickup than you do in Division I. So these dudes are playing, if they're playing the right way, and I think this is everything.
Yeah.
3 days a week. If you're playing the right way, that's 3 hours a week or more. But, I'm fine if you go hard for 1 hour. I don't want the habits to diminish because you play for 90 minutes because you thought you should be. No. And it's got to be short games, and everybody's got to be bought in, and you're going to have some slippage, all of that. But when guys are competing the right way, then you grow, then you learn how to solve problems. We're big on the huddles. Military term is these after action reviews. Let's talk about what just happened. Let's talk about why we won. Let's talk about why we lost. And that's one thing. You've been to practice, but I want 15 coaches on the sideline. If you're not in that action, then you better be talking. Yeah. And if you're in the action, you definitely should be talking. But that's been empowering guys to find their voice. So Miles is real quiet, Miles. Yes. But he's got like his IQ is off the chart. He's got great substance if you pull it out of him. So it's like, my job there, Buzz, I don't need to say a word. Buzz, I got to, maybe tone it down every once in a while. Yeah. But most of the time, like you let that dude roll. He was Mamba for a while, and then he always had he was one step ahead. All right, what does my leadership need? What does this team need? I thought he did a good job throughout his career and his leadership journey. But so Miles, it's like, Miles, how do you think about guarding this ball screen? And he's like, well, no, louder, tell the group, man, because we're all trying to learn from how you see. I'm not a big guy. Yeah. Like, you're doing it high level. So it's been awesome to see, because then guys get some confidence. Man, my voice, man, coach values what I think about guarding this ball screen. And I think it can exude into other areas. So I think that problem solving mentality means you don't panic. All right, they're throwing something at us. Okay, we got to figure this out. Yeah.
And your teams do a lot. And you talk about Tony Bennett and that UVA program. And I think that's another great comparison, because I think Tony Bennett hangs his hat on defense. Yep. And your teams have hung there. I mean, our team, the year that we were, that we had you, we were the number one team in scoring defense. Yes. So I feel like that's always been like a thing for you. So what is your, I don't want you to give out any secrets, but what is your like mentality when it comes to like defense?
It's well, and I can't take any credit for your team, because that was, Rose, Nathan, and you guys, really. But I would say it's a beeline thing that we will not turn it over, right? Mm-hmm. So one thing is we'll be top 10 and not turning it over. A few less risks, maybe a few less tough buckets, but it's not going to hurt you at the other end. Yeah. So scoring defense is going to be lower. You're not going to get those easy runouts that can fuel an offense. And also like the shot selection too, because, you can go in there, take a 1-footed layup. Missed layup leads to them getting the layup down there. So it's not even just turnovers. It's like, we spend a lot of time on what's a good shot, what's not a good shot. I want guys playing free. And I don't think you hear too much complaining about our offense, and that like guys have a lot of freedom if they, within the structure, if they can play. Yeah. But one thing is don't turn that thing over. Add the tools to your toolbox. Yeah. Let's get it popping. Play to your strengths. We're big on that stuff. Discipline equals freedom. If you can play off 2 feet, then we're going to give you a lot of leash. Yeah. And then, the defense first. Like if you're really good on offense, you still got to figure it out on D, because that's how we're going to win championships. It's like, we always use the Warriors, Draymond Green, Klay Thompson, like they're not winning without two-way guys. And so we need two-way guys.
And this year, let's just get to that, because I definitely want to get to that. A lot of defensive stalwarts on that team, and like some guys you wouldn't think necessarily just due to their smaller size, because like I wouldn't say you have like our teams were huge, right? Like we had like taller, bigger guys, where y'all guys are smaller. However, I think they're quicker laterally, and like and I think everybody just has like a nose for like the ball, like being in the right position. Miles is the enforcer back there. Like I've never seen someone affect like every shot that comes down. Bungie, like on the ball, like is a menace. You know what I'm saying? JT is gonna like tire anybody out over because of the what I mean. So like
and get a couple steals.
So like everybody, they play their roles perfectly, and I think that's why I always say, like, you have to score at least 70-75 to have a chance against us. That's how I've always looked at it.
That is exactly right. And that's something we take confidence in, because we went into even the tournament, let's say WPI, and it was like, fellas, they get 78 a game. Do you think they're getting 78 tonight? And it's like, by the way, we're giving up 58. And they're like, no, coach. It's like, I mean, it's been proven. It's what we've given up 3 years in a row. All right. So if a team scores 78 and they're on track to get 58, what do you think that does for their offense? Like, they're going to be messed up a little bit. And it's like, I don't even think our guys had thought about it like that, but it's like, now you start pressing. Now it's like, man, I'm not going to get a good shot. So this might be the best shot I can take. So I'm going to take this shot.
And I've noticed that that's what they do. I've seen it so many games I've watched where it's like, you can tell like a person, like especially the person who's like their leading scorer, they get frustrated because they can't get an open shot. So the next time they touch the ball, they're throwing it up.
Yeah. And it hasn't always been perfect, but we do, you try and limit those top two guys and make other guys have to beat you. And it's, I just love, we empower guys. Again, if you empower them on offense, play the strengths, we got guys that have some defensive strengths too. So JT maybe get a little more wiggle room to go for some steals.
Yeah.
Daniel can guard different guys. Like we did this thing that I'm assuming there's no Sydney. Are there Sydney listeners, you think?
I mean, probably, but who cares?
Because one thing that I liked that the guys ran with was like, we were going to go lion mode in the tournament. And basically it was like, we had to say it coming out of a timeout. And if we did it, guys were basically empowered to take a risk that I normally wouldn't let them take. I mean, it's the first time in my career I've done it, throwing it out there. So like, for instance, Fundy, if this big stiff that you're guarding is only just going to try and go right hand and hand it off, like just completely blow it up. Like sit on his right, make him drive to the basket with his left and see if he lays it in, and it'll be on me. Yeah. And the dudes, so it was one game in particular, dudes ran with it. And so, we found some moments, I think, where, WPI, there was like this one big possession because it was out of a timeout. And we were just like, all right, lion mode. And, it was awesome. One of my favorite moments from the year.
I like that, man. I like that you allow the team to take risks. Cause sometimes, you kind of want to, sometimes most coaches want to kind of stay in that box.
Yes.
Whereas if you feel like you're in a good position, hey, let's see if we can get something here, get the crowd into it. Maybe, you know what I'm saying?
Stick, my biggest fear this year was that we would lose because I got fearful. We would lose because we held back and the pressure got to us. And it was like, no, we are going fair. Every game, it was right on the board, fearless, trust your training. We are going down, swinging, guns blazing, whatever, however you want to say it. And I think you could tell in our approach, dude, we weren't fearful.
No, not at all. So I got to ask you this. The Christopher Newport game.
Yep.
How do you feel about it? Do you feel like it was looking back?
Yeah.
Do you think it was a good thing that you lost the game?
Hell yeah. I mean, there's winners and there's learners. Think of it like this from a fan perspective. Would you have rather us won that game and been 33-0 going in and then lose to Elmhurst? Or, and that's not even a good one. People look the unblemished, this and that. It's no, we needed to, there's winners and there's learners, and we still needed to learn.
Yeah.
Remember, all those sophomores, we went 12-0 in the COVID year.
Yep.
So up until then, 7-0, I think, going into CNU, they hadn't lost a daggone game. They hadn't seen they hadn't had the field. Hadn't seen me in a locker room after a loss. I can act like after a win, we lost, but those guys man, coach is tripping, we won. Whatever. So it was huge, man, because we learned, number one, Daniel, I didn't trust Daniel late in that game because he wasn't the Daniel that he became. I didn't trust Coble in that game. And, you start to wonder, well, I need to get these guys right, or I need to trust them more. Yeah. Or, what CNU does is, we know it's a Final Four type program or top 10 program team. They're the standard as far as I'm concerned every year. Maybe they look at us the same. I don't know. Yeah. But you learn a lot about, where you're off. Like what do you need to be doing? All right, well, we know Miles can play high level, Buzz can play high level. We also learn like those guys, we can't just play through those guys.
Yeah.
I will say CNU does a good job of like making guys make plays. And so those guys were out to make plays, and then Josh got hurt going in.
Yeah.
I'll say this. I don't like making excuses. We were good enough to win that game without Josh, and our team knows that.
Yeah.
But I think all of them also thought like, man, we ain't losing the game. If we're healthy, I don't know who's going to beat us. Like we would have to beat ourselves is how they felt. I'm saying that, with humility.
Mm-hmm.
We still had to earn it every time, but they had a healthy self-confidence, I think.
Yeah. I'm always a big believer of, going undefeated would be nice, obviously.
Yeah.
But I do think, like you say, you learn more from losses, right? Because it kind of makes you put a mirror to yourself, like, where did I go wrong? Like, what could I have done better?
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought that was, I'm 100% sure that JT plays that y'all win, but I thought it was a good way to get y'all back, your minds refocused,
Yeah. And I shouldn't take anything away from CNU, but we were playing darn good for 36 minutes. Now, this is the thing too, like it was a valuable lesson of like 36 minutes ain't 40.
That's right.
And you got to finish. We didn't finish. I didn't think I coached well the last 4. Buzz missed technical free throws. Like we turned it over on the sideline, like 5-second call, like stuff we never, ever do.
Right.
And I'll say that my approach after the game, or the next day, was we really called guys out. Like, do you hate to lose or do you love to win? And everybody goes around, hate to lose. And I'm like, no. Y'all don't hate to lose. Like, not everybody in here. Buzz hates to lose.
Yeah.
But the others, your actions don't show it. So I thought that was valuable for us to get that feedback. But I also said, this is why he's a Final Four coach, talking about the CNU's coach, Johnny K. And I'm not, because they kicked our ass in rebounding, which is what you're going to need to do. And they finished. Like, even when they didn't have their best stuff, they found a way to freaking beat us.
Yeah.
And I owned it. I gave him the credit. It was good for me. And so at least now I can't say that I'm not a Final Four coach, but that's how I felt in that moment. Right. Was that I need to get better at these things, or he's going to be playing in the Final Four and we're not.
Yeah. And things turned out okay. They turned out just fine. So talk about that. I mean, historic run, man. Just those last 9 games. Just no victory less than what?
15, if you're talking going back to the ODAC tournament. Valdez in the championship, that was 15.
Like that's insane. Like these games weren't close. I had Buzz on a couple weeks ago, and his episode will come out soon.
I gotta see that.
But I asked him the same thing, and I was like, did it get boring? Because and I asked him from a player perspective, like, because I like close games. I like when like the lights are like real bright and like, oh, now everybody's tense or whatever. So now you gotta see who makes the best play.
Yeah.
Like blowouts are kind of like, they're cool, but like, So did it get kind of like, from a respectful perspective, like, was it kind of boring in a sense?
No, hell no. I mean, like, emphatic no for me. I would never use that word. But I will say to that, Buzz and I were joking about, it's like what I said, like one of the first things I said after handshake lines or something to JT and Buzz is I've never worked harder on late game situations. Like, I didn't want us to lose because we didn't have, a live play with 0.5, a BOB under, like going long, sideline, under 3 set. Like, we were ready, man. I would say, no timeouts. What are you guys running? And they would, be, all right, we're going with this. Buzz would call some out. Hey, Buzz is fouled out. What are we doing?
Yeah.
Like, all right, we got to go to. And we didn't run any of them. Like, we didn't practice. Like, I've never spent more time.
It's just dust all over those pages in the playbook. Just dust all over it.
But I would say there's something to be said for how you win. And so, like, on the other hand, I love that we were so locked into each possession. And I think it's a healthy way to respect your opponent is just don't take your foot off the gas, play every possession like it's the same. And that's that. Like, and Elmhurst, so I called their coach, and I have a lot of respect for him, John Baines, and talking to him after. And one thing he said was, Josh, and they had come back 3 times in the tournament from double-digit deficits. And they were only down like 14 to us, 15. He was like, it's the first time all year that I walked in there and those guys looked defeated.
Yeah.
And it comes back to, they probably didn't know how they were going to score.
Yeah.
You know, it's one thing to be down 15, but what did they have at halftime? I don't know, 18 points. It's like, how are we going to get, they ended up with 45. How are we going to get all these points?
Where we get this offense from?
Yeah. So I appreciate that he shared that with me, and I don't take it for granted. And you know what? Come back next year, because it won't be boring next year.
You know what I also liked about this team too, and just the journey, is that like players had like different moments, right?
Yeah.
And like, you know, Buzz and Miles are the two. Buzz, Miles, and Josh are like the 3-headed monster, right?
Yeah.
And they were like, take Ian, for example. Ian was an all-conference player a couple years ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he's not playing, maybe not necessarily playing as much. You know, the moments are like far and in between, but then like he has that huge moment again in the, you know, the Final Four game.
Oh man, it's awesome. Yeah.
You know, Q started off the season, maybe not playing as much as he thought.
Yeah.
And then like he has that crazy Hampton Sydney game, and he's like one of the top 2 3-point shooters, you know, percentage wise in the league. It's just cool to see these guys have these moments, man. It's like everybody plays their role perfectly.
Yeah. And Q was just over. We had the seniors over to the house last night, and you know, talking about when were you most mad, and he was like, you know, it wasn't that I was most mad, but you know, he started the first 2 games, and he talked about that process. You know, he owned it. Like, I played terrible. Like, I don't blame coach for not playing me. He's like, you brought me in and you said, hey man, I'm not going to play you much these next couple, and you need to figure it out, is what I told him. And these guys, like, you know, Q has wanted to be it is cool. It is cool to see how he, you know, just became a superstar in that role. Like, we don't need you to do much else. We don't need you to straight line drive. We don't need you to make decisions. Like, you got Buzz and JT and Miles, they'll take all the attention. We need you to knock that open one down. Yeah. Because if you do that, man, it's going to be great for our team. And you know, like Coach Barron is in there with him, you know, Coach Maturo, like those guys really are big brothers. And it's like, man, let's get you on a schedule. So Q was in there like Monday, Wednesday, Friday morning. Yeah. So no, it didn't just happen. He'd been planting those seeds. And so it's awesome to see.
Absolutely, man. National champion, man. How's it feel?
It feels good. I will tell you, I'm ready to turn the page. It feels good. No one can take it away. I will share that with the guys, but I'm also wanting to know, like, you know, in life, it's about, you know, moving forward, getting better. You know, not just celebrating what you did in the past. And so a lot of cool lessons that came from it. But for me, I'm ready to, you know, our mission or our goal for the season was we want to play 34 games, or play as many games as we can, which is 34 games, and find a way to win the last one. And I'm already in that mode. Like, I'm already like, how are we going to play, you know, 6 games in the NCAA? How are we going to find a way to win the last one? Like, I'm there, and I love the guys that are there with me. You know, Daniel Bonge has had the best spring of anybody in terms of like his voice, his leadership. Like, I can see his care. It's like, coach, I'm with you. Like, I'm trying to find a way to win the last one too. Yeah. And it's been awesome.
That's dope, man. I love that. I love that. Let's circle back real quick, because I just feel like now I got somebody to vent with. My senior year, right? Yeah. You're right. It didn't end the way we would have liked, obviously. I remember, first of all, we should have hosted. Yep. That is an undisputed fact. But confusion, whatever. Yep. and we just happened to have to go back to St. Mary's. God, we had to go to St. Mary's. That crowd is nuts. Yep. And they had a really good team, to be fair. I remember one of the last things that we were getting blown out. We were getting blown out, and I remember I remember vividly because I was like, it was a fast break. Somebody passing the ball, elbow jumper. I nailed it. I came out the game. And I sat down, and I was just staring at a blank hole. And I just remember you on the side of me, like, "Are you good?" And I remember I said, "Yeah," but I really wasn't. You know what I'm saying? I really wasn't. Cause I was like, because in my mind, like, dog, of all the time, because we had played well for most of the year. We never really got blown out. It was always like, 6-point, 4-point losses, 2-point losses, something like that.
Lost 4 games up until then. Yeah.
So to just the worst time to have like the worst game is just, it just always stuck with me. What did you see that game?
Well, I'm gonna back up one question for you. Because we all have our lens, but how much of it not hosting do you think affected the energy going in to that weekend?
A lot, because it's a weird moment because we won the ODAC that year, and that was one of our one goals that year because we had never won one. That's the thing we wanted. We wanted like, yo, dog, we never won an ODAC. We can't leave without doing that. Let's go ahead and knock that out. We did. So now we're thinking, yo, we're a top 10 team. We've been top 10 most of the year. Clearly we should host. Yeah. So then we sit down that Monday, and read it off. We're not hosting. And I just remember it. I remember personally for me, I was like, bro, I'm exhausted. Yeah. Like mentally, I'm like, dog, this sucks. Cause I'm like, we're going back here to St. Mary's again. And like, it's crazy because that's the spot of our biggest accomplishment, technically. You know what I'm saying? Like we won the final, we got to the Final Four there. That led just the year prior. So I'm like, bro, like we shouldn't be here. Like we shouldn't be here. Like, let's see them later.
And go back to the year before. Did you host the first 2 rounds, or did you guys have to? No. Did you host it all?
No. We had to go to Albright the first 2. And then we went to St. Mary's.
And then St. Mary's. Yeah.
They had lost the previous night.
Yep.
I remember because we beat the Sales in the Sweet 16 game.
Gotcha.
We stayed to watch the little bit of the what's called, and the crowd is, we want Macon, like the whole time, bro. And I'm just like, I mean, cool, like cool. But then they
take care of this game.
So like we get there and like they're up for it our senior year, and we just got hit in the mouth, bro. Like that day we just got punched in the mouth early, like mad early.
So the thing that I remember is, being so amazed at how good we were in the ODACs. Like it was a machine. We were a buzzsaw. This is what I want for every one of my teams, is to be clicking on all cylinders, get your best when your best is needed. And we rolled through it. Yep. And I'm like, okay, this team is getting ready to go back to a Final Four. Yeah. But as the selection thing came about, and, just the confusion, remember, women hit a half-court shot. Yeah. And then it's their year to host, which is fine. But then they don't communicate with the men's side, women's side, men's side. And so that's the other thing is like, it'd be one thing if the women actually got to host. They didn't even get to host.
Oh, yeah. Now, if they had host, that's why it's cool. Yeah.
Right. That's why you guys don't. And so all of this, and I just remember talking to Coach and just being like, man, we got to get these dudes out of it because they're in their head, they're in their feelings. And if we don't, and this is what's tough about, I think, going to the Final Four a year before, or maybe not hosting yet, is like, you guys felt like you earned, what you did, the right to host. And so, you're grieving that. You're basically grieving the loss of this chance to be, playing in front of the Crenshaw Crazies for these meaningful games. You're grieving, and at the same time expected to perform. And we should have lost the night before to Alvernia.
Oh my God, yes.
Lucky. So we went from playing at a really high level to being very bad. And then, basically Alvernia wasn't good enough to beat us, although they almost did. Now St. Mary's was better.
Yeah.
And so we couldn't just fix it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was rough. But you take it. I because I remember I got a message that same day that was like, you'll never forget like hanging with your bros. I don't know who sent me the message, but you'll never forget the days of hanging with your guys. And you know what I'm saying? It was a crazy message. And I was like, oh, and in my mind, I was like, yo, today's the day, bro. I felt it. I felt it in my mind. I was like, dog, we're not winning this game.
Yeah.
Like like the spirit in me, I was like, yo, dog, we gotta try. But I was like, dog, that message came out of nowhere from an unknown source. So like I just felt like today was the day. And it just felt weird.
Yeah.
It just felt weird.
Yeah. But it is true. And I'll put it in perspective. My playing career did not play not even in a CAC championship game, and didn't taste the tournament. So, our guys right now are a little spoiled. And you go through some of these, but you guys had an amazing, you personally and your group, your class had an amazing career when you put in perspective, and only one team gets to win at the end of the day. Everybody else goes home a loser.
That's it. That's facts.
Yeah.
I did want to talk to you about like alumni stuff, man.
Okay.
Transparency stuff, but from me. I'm really big on like the alumni thing. Like that was a thing between me and you or whatever, trying to figure out how we can connect alumni. What's the connection with alumni or whatever. And I doing some self-reflection, I figured out what my thing was. And I think I put a lot of stock into like what I did at Macon, right? And as years go on, obviously you focus more on like the current. And in my mind, I think for me, I was fearful that people would forget what we did, right?
Right.
Because I put a lot of blood, sweat, tears. Not tears. I don't cry like that. Blood and sweat, or whatever. Into a lot of energy into doing stuff, and like just the milestones and the moments and stuff like that. I never want our guys or my guys like to be forgotten or whatever. So I think that was like the main crux for me.
Yeah.
What was really cool for me was the final. We were making a run in the tournament. Lead 8, Final 4. And we got the championship. And alumni would come up to me and they were like, you guys started this. Like, you guys were the foundation for this. And that was cool. That kind of helped me. You know what I'm saying? Yes. In the sense that they didn't forget, Yeah.
Well, damn right. And I don't know if there's a question in it yet, but basically, I've been helping our guys understand, like we have stepped into, like I said before, this gift. We've stepped into these standards. We've stepped into guys that have been chasing this dream too. And we've had the mentorship, like the power of mentorship, the power of older guys, like having these older brothers, wisdom guys that have been there, done that, can compound some experiences. We're going to meet Maddox here for a second. Want to say hi, Stick?
What's up?
Yeah. All right. Well, you can sit here for a second. He's got a little ear infection, but
yeah.
But yeah, it's no greatness ever happens alone, and so we got a healthy respect for those that have helped us along the way. That's a big thing. Even in my own shorter sphere. And I love that I'm connected to your group. I think that's one of the cool things about the 5 coaches is that they either played or coached with the guy in front of them. So we got this continuity thing still going. But I don't think we win it without a Kent Kilgore, who doesn't have the stats that you had. All right, we'll just watch it, buddy, unless you want to go out with mommy. So yeah, it's I'm extremely grateful. And the other thing I was going to say too is I've told my seniors now, all right, we're talking about Buzz, Bundy, Q, Ian. Yeah. And I'm like, fellas, your mind is going to mess with you and you're going to feel like coach doesn't care about me anymore. And it's like, I'm with you until you leave this earth. Like, I got your back.
Yeah.
but it's like I'm gonna have 18 new dudes, not new, but this big group.
Yeah.
Um, and so just know, like you call me every day, I'm gonna call you back.
Yeah.
Um, but I may not be the one, you may not be the first guy on my mind,
Right.
because now I got to worry about this freshman and his academics and his habits. And
Yeah.
um, it's like I want to continue to reiterate that to guys, like you're never forgotten. And I just appreciate, I mean, thankfully you live close, but we got some guys like showing up whether we were winning or losing, like you were there when we weren't so good. Coach, I got your back. You've been pouring into guys, this. You've been doing stuff that I don't even know about. I found out about it after the fact, and not the only one doing it. So it's like I'm so grateful to be at a place where the guys that came before us care like that. Definitely don't take it for granted. But you made me reflect some too of like, it's not Division I, so we don't have this staff, because sometimes you have people that are like think through this stuff, do a better job.
Mhm.
And I'm like, I haven't thought about this as much as I need to.
Yeah. But it's good because like I think the thing about RMC is we have a good family, we have a good community. So we always try to keep each other honest. So
Yeah.
and that's what I try to do, man. I try to keep you honest and keep you, saying like, hey, don't forget these guys or whatever.
Yeah.
So I think, I'm in a better place when it comes to that, because I think that was the other thing too, is that I put so much energy. Like basketball was my thing for like years, right? Like that's what I could hang my hat on as far as athletes and stuff. And I've been steadily trying to chase that still.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying, with other things, and I'm just trying to
Yep.
figure out what that next thing is for me. And I
Well,
I kind of figured out what it is.
I'm grateful because we talk about truth over harmony in the program all the time. So a lesser man, I like to say, would have like, all right, I'm moving on. Like,
Yeah.
they don't want to show us love or celebrate those. Fine, I'm out.
Yeah.
And you took the next step of truth over harmony. Hey man, don't forget about us. Allow me to kind of think about it. And then I'm like, we really don't have a system. So, because I'll say this too, there's kind of 5 leadership practices called Leadership Challenge, and it's been studied, and encourage the heart is one of the 5. So it's the one I'm the least good at. Basically, celebrating things is not something that is necessarily my strength. And so I'm thinking about challenge the process, inspire, share vision, like model the way, good at those. That's how my mind is attacking these things. And I'm not celebrating like we had talked about enough, or even my current guys enough. Trust me, they'll be the first to tell you like coach is on to the next.
Yeah. Cool. Facts. That's facts. But I want to get you out of here, man. That you got a family. But here at Clueless, we like to rate our wines, like rating from one glass to 5 glasses. So what would you give Saint Chateau Michelle Chardonnay out of 5?
1 glass to 5 glasses. That's a great way of putting it. Actually, I'm a big rankings guy. I'm gonna say 4.
Okay.
I'm gonna say I could go 4 on this one.
Yeah. I'm not mad at that. I'm gonna go.
What about you? What rating are you giving it?
I'm gonna go 3.5, man. I'm not mad at this.
Yeah.
I'm not mad at this one at all. I like how it tastes. Got a little tang to it,
Yep.
Give me very spring summer vibe. So I'm not mad at this at all, man. I would drink this again. And it's a good price point. I like that too.
Gotcha. Let's see what Maddox thinks. Let's see what
I wouldn't be no, sir. But I want to thank you, man, for coming on here, man. I want to thank you for joining the episode. Me and you are boys. That is established.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If I haven't told you in a long time, I love you. Yeah, man, I'm just glad that you're a part of my life, man.
Love you too, man. This has been awesome. The Clueless Vino. Someday posterity will come back and watch this thing, and with a glass of vino, it'll be fun. But yeah, man, look forward to seeing you back in Crenshaw. If not before, good luck with number 2.
Yeah.
I know you'll be off the grid there for a little bit, but probably that December, January, you'll be able to pop your head back out again.
You'll see your boy for sure. Yeah. I like to give the guests one last chance to say any closing remarks before we go?
Closing remarks. You know, I'm gonna say being where you're supposed to be, or self-awareness being a superpower. And so for anybody out there kind of wondering, like, well, and I'll say relationships are what make life worth living. So quality of your life is determined by the quality of your relationships. And, you know, in closing, like I said, love ours, love the Macon family, that tight knit, the small school, like kind of forces you to be all in on those relationships. And that's not for everybody. And yeah, man, so grateful for all that.
Perfect, man. Yeah, man. Thank y'all for watching Clueless Fino. Make sure y'all come to them early Randolph Macon games. That's our new goal this year, is to get them to come to those November and December games.
Let's pick up right where we left off, man.
Yeah. Don't act like y'all ain't been there before. Make sure y'all get there. But most importantly, man, don't forget to drink up.
I got the juice, don't need no proof. 100 like the rum, I drink that got me over you. And all your nonsense, we all subject to. I find my lane and mind my business like I'm supposed to do. Let's have a toast for all the obstacles that got us here. I put my glass up in the air to stimulate a cheers. Not because we made it, but because we making it. I savor the moment, the bouquet forever, evident. Yeah. In my realm, I watch the times go by. I got the world in my hands, but I can't tame the sky. Dare I try, I might lose my mind. But it'll be all good.